First, we want to thank the World Missions Committee and Pastor Randy Neighbors and Eleanor Espinoza for sending our family to Monterrey, Mexico back in June. And we were down there with San Pedro Church, which is a church plant off of the church that has been pastored for a long time by our missionary partners for a long time there in Monterrey, Andres and Ruth Garces. I think my favorite part of this trip was seeing how God is working in a church plant. Callie and I spent time as church planters. She and I were in Raleigh, North Carolina doing that, so we both have a heart for church plants, but seeing it in a different cultural context, and then seeing God work in a city that is so drastically contrasted between the rich and the poor.
I think the most meaningful part, which would be for me the same as the best part, was watching our girls experience God's kingdom beyond the borders of the U.S., beyond the borders of the states that they've always known, and to really see Him at work and how He works in different churches, in different cultures, and in different ways. And our hope for this trip was that the seed of service internationally would be planted in them to serve, and they loved it.
I think the obvious answer for the hardest part was the language barrier. Now, obviously, so many of the people there spoke English and spoke it very well, obviously a lot better than my Spanish, because I don't speak Spanish. Our oldest daughter, Garner, does very well in Spanish, so she helped us bridge some of that gap. But I think one of the other hard things was seeing just the level of poverty that some of the people experienced there, and seeing also this is a church plant. This is a small congregation, and there are a lot of attendant struggles that come with being a church plant in a smaller congregation.
I think the hardest part was understanding, having been there ourselves, the struggle that the pastor and his wife and their family struggle with every day, because I remember what that felt like, and just the day in, day out hard work of church planting.
The food was amazing. Now, I love spicy food, probably to a degree that most people might not. And in fact, one of the members at San Pedro Church told the pastor in Spanish, who interpreted it to me, that I was born in this body, but I'm a Mexican at heart, because I was the only one who could eat all the hot stuff they served. But beyond all that, the salsas and everything were amazing. But then one day they took us out and did a carne asada. Now that's a dish on most Mexican restaurant menus here in the States, but it's actually an event there in Mexico. So it's what we might call like a cookout.
They really love the fellowship around food the most, and every meal felt like a family meal. And I think that, given what we know in the U.S., that's something that's been lost. So they loved it.
Yeah. The people at San Pedro Church were incredibly hospitable. So seeing that, and then just having our kids, we were out a couple of nights by ourselves, just on our own in the city, and navigating that different culture, seeing some of the similarities and seeing some of the differences was really eye-opening for them, but also really cool. I think they enjoyed immensely being there. I think the main reason to go on a short-term mission trip, especially in the context of a family, is at least twofold. First, everybody should be concerned with missions, either locally or internationally, because our God is a missionary God. And one of our goals here at First Pres is for everybody to go on a short-term mission trip, so we're coming for you. But I think that's the first part, is just being able to serve the Lord in this way and bring the gospel alongside those who are already on the ground working. And then I think the second part is, with a family together like we were, having our children see, as Callie has mentioned before, the immensity of God's kingdom. And to see people that don't look like them, that don't speak the same language they do, that don't live like they do in many respects. Embrace Christ, love Jesus, love his people.
I would say also the Lord has equipped all of us with unique gifts, and going on a mission trip, whether it's a short-term mission trip or a long-term mission trip, allows you to not only use those gifts that you already know you have, but also to discover new gifts that you may not know you have, or new skills that you want to develop going forward. So it's really an opportunity for personal growth in your service to the Lord.